Hey everybody, I'm here to talk to you today about the state board haircut. Um, what I did is I diagrammed it all out for you here, going over the different steps. So I'd like for you to have in your hands with this the content outline from PSI, from the Candidate Information Bulletin. Um, the state board haircut is a layered haircut demonstrating the use of a razor and the proper use of razor and scissors, while observing all sanitary and safety precautions, just like every other procedure. So I want to go over those steps with you first so that you have them in your head as we go through the demonstration on part 2 of this, okay? So part 1 is, I'm hoping that you can see this well enough, if not just kind of expand your screen perhaps, but I'm going to verbalize it to you as well. These are the steps that must be performed in order. You must sanitize and clean your hands, okay? Prepare the mannequin for service. So what that entails is open up your bag, lay out your items, close the bag, just like every other service. Drape with a wrap strip and a nylon or a plastic cape, whichever you happen to have available. A nylon cape is acceptable. I have a small amount handy of some what are called comb out capes that I ordered off of Amazon. They run about $5 or $7 a piece, and you'll be able to keep them forever. You can order them yourselves too, okay? The reason I say drape with a wrap strip and not a neck strip is that the wrap strips are tougher and they're not going to fall apart when you wet the doll down in your next step, or in your coming steps, okay? It says to perform the scalp analysis. And for the scalp analysis, what you're looking for are you're demonstrating that you are looking for various growth patterns, condition of the scalp, etc., making sure that there are no abrasions present. Is the scalp oily? Is it flaky? Of course, it's a mannequin, so it's neither, okay? And there are no real growth directions other than the way that it was sewn into the mannequin, okay? But you are going to be demonstrating how to do that. See page 266 and 392 in your Milady textbook, and check the corresponding chapters in your workbook for details on how to do that. The next steps do not need to be performed in order. You're going to use a razor with a guard during the haircut. You're going to follow a guideline throughout the haircut. So either your stationary guideline, which is your perimeter guide, and that's the entire perimeter, as well as your traveling guide. You're going to use your shears during your haircut or your scissors during your haircut. And you ensure that the haircut is blended. Notice it does not say even and blended. It says blended. So that makes it a lot easier for you than the way that it used to be. You're going to cut a minimum of 1 inch throughout the entire head, and you're going to remove the hair off of your workstation and sweep the floor, sanitize your station, put away your tools, and then step back and raise your hand with 1 comb in your hand so that they can check your haircut. So do not throw away that comb that you use at the end, or have an extra one available that you don't throw away when you clean off your station. It's expected that you will be palming your scissors and your razor. That would be, if you do not, you will not get the credit for uses the razor with guard and uses the shears because you didn't do it properly. So you would lose those 2 points if you're not palming properly, okay? So, other safety criteria: you're going to properly dispose of waste material. You're going to ensure your workstation and area remain sanitary. So the way that you would do that, if you tend to put your comb down every once in a while, then you're going to have a paper towel laid out that stays sanitary, that you can lay your comb down on, that you don't lay it on the bare naked station. Okay? You're going to ensure that the draping is maintained throughout the service. That's why I want you to use the wrap strip and not the neck strip, because the neck strip falls apart and you won't maintain your draping properly. Make sure that your cape that you put on your mannequin fits tightly, okay? That it's not going to slip off during your haircut. Because if you lose your draping, you have to stop what you're doing and re-drape properly, and then go back to your haircut. And time is of the essence on the haircut, the skateboard haircut, and I'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But you're going to have to replace contaminated items. So if you drop your comb on the floor, you're going to have to stop what you're doing, pick it up, throw it away, and replace that comb. So have a few extra combs in that bag when you pack it. That your kit remains sanitary, and that you avoid cross-contamination. That would be, say, if you touch the trash bag after you threw away that comb that fell on the floor, or even just picking it up from the floor, you have to sanitize your hands before you can pick up a fresh comb again. Otherwise, you've just contaminated the new comb, and you're doing it in a unsafe. You're doing your haircut in an unsafe manner, and you will lose a bundle of points then. With a skateboard haircut, they're not looking at your skill level, so to speak. They're looking for basic entry-level skill, and you'd be surprised what passes for basic entry-level skill. So I don't want you to be upset or anxious about the accuracy of your cutting. I'd like you to be more concerned about your timing, because if you do not finish in time, you will lose way more points than had you done a bad haircut. Okay? There's one area that you do want to get exactly blended and even, and that is the center back from the crown to the nape, because that's the area you're going to be rolling up in perm rods. And if that area is jacked, then you screwed yourself over on your perm. So, moving on. Once you've got your doll draped, then you're going to, and you've done your scalp analysis, you're going to spritz the doll wet and section her off. I'll show you the sectioning that I recommend that you do. You do not have to do it my way. The way that the pattern that I designed is designed to help you get it done quickly. That doesn't mean that that's the way that you have to do it. If you can get it done in time using any other method, you certainly may, but you do have to section the doll off. You cannot just work freeform. You do have to have a sectioning method. And I will show you that method here. Well, here, I'll show you right now with this doll. This is the sectioning method that I use. You can see I've got the top and the top section, left side, right side, and left side, right side, rear, and I have dropped a 1/4 inch perimeter. Can you see that there? The 1/4 inch perimeter all the way around, because this is supposed to be an evenly layered haircut. They're not looking for a perfect 90 degree, they're looking for blended layers. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect 90 degree. In the rear, you're going to want to do it at least to the occipital at 90 degree. And I'll show you how that works out for you. It just has to be blended. So if the top is a little bit longer or it's a little bit shorter, it's not a big deal. Okay, just that it's even from side to side. Okay, so I have a particular method of doing this perimeter guide where it's the entire, 360 perimeter. You're going to cut your flats first and your angles second. What do I mean by that? Flats are your nape back here, this area right there. That is a flat. this part here from the nape to behind the ear, this is an angle. Over top of the ear is a flat. There. That's a flat. In the front of the face up to the fringe is an angle. And then the front of the head, at the forehead there in the fringe, that is a flat. And then you've got an angle and a flat. So what you want to do is cut your nape, your front, and your left side, right side first. And then you can blend your angles in rather than going around in a circle. What I find happens to 90% of the hair cutters is that when they go around in a circle doing that perimeter guide, starting in the nape and then working their way around and then down to the other side and then back again to their starting point, they end up with one side shorter than the other. So in order to combat that, if you cut your nape, your fringe, and then your side to side first, and then blend in your angles to those guides, you'll have an even perimeter, okay? I'm going to switch over to demonstrating how this goes, but I'd like you to just look at the chart first, okay? Let me see if I can move this over just a tad bit so that you can see my artistic abilities. I can be artistic with my, don't fall down now, with my scissors, with my hair color, with my perms, but don't give it to me with a pencil or a pen or a marker because I really cannot draw very well at all. So, in the back of the head, what we're going to do, once we've cut our perimeter, is we're going to take a 1-inch subsection on either the left or the right side, whichever side you want to start on. I usually start on the left because that's my hardest side to get right. So I want to start on my left and then I go to my right, where I'm comfortable. And then I can bounce back and forth, working up the head in that manner. You're going to drop a 1-inch subsection in the back of the head, the left or the right side, back here. Whoa. My thing's falling down here. Okay. Let me see here. There we go. Okay. So, you're going to drop the 1-inch subsection that I've got drawn right here. That's a little small, I see. But, and then you're going to divide that subsection into thirds. So just divide it into 3, and I will demonstrate on part 2. Into 3 little subsections, and then starting in the center, right side subsection or left side subsection, you're going to elevate that 1/3 subsection to 90 degrees using your perimeter guide as your guide, and then cut that. Okay, you're going to then take a step to the right or to the left, whichever side you're working on, and position yourself directly behind the next subsection. You're going to hold the hair in the center of each of those little 1/3 subsections. Okay, elevating it to the proper elevation angle, or desired elevation angle. Let me put it that way. Okay. Absolutely ensure that you are using proper body positioning as you do this cut, that you are stepping or turning your head. If your head turns easily, I don't recommend doing that because when you turn that head, you tend to lose your draping. So if you step to the left or step to the right and then step to the right and then step to the right, position yourself behind each third, that hair will remain nice and even when you do that. The Deborah doll is unique in that every inch there's a different elevation angle. So, or a different angle that you're holding the hair at when you're holding it at 90 degrees. It'll be down here, and then here, and then here, and it changes every inch up the head. That's why I say drop a 1-inch subsection. And then it changes every inch or so across the back of the head too, in terms of where you're holding it out from the head to make sure that you are staying or cutting that hair nice and even. So that's why I say proper body position and hold in the center of that 1 inch. The little differences in the length is not going to be so noticeable that it will not be blended, okay? One time we figured out that that on the Deborah doll, you have to open and close your scissors 88 times to complete this haircut, okay? So 88 times cutting, can you get that done inside of 42 minutes? I think so. So if you follow my method of doing it and don't take tiny little slivers of your subsections and do the 1-inch subsections and then dividing them into thirds and then cutting each third, working your way up the head, you will get it done quickly. You should be able to finish that haircut within 35 to 40 minutes, okay? You're going to work your way up the head in this manner, going left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, until you get to the crown. And then when you get up to the top of the crown area here, you see it's smaller. You can't quite divide that into thirds. I would divide it into 2, okay? And just get it done, and make sure that you're elevating to the proper angle when you cut it. Moving on. You want to cross-check, take a moment to cross-check the center back as you're working your way up the head, because that is the area that you're going to be perming, and you want to be absolutely sure you don't have long pieces in there that will make it difficult for you to get that hair in the end papers and around the rod. You want to make it easy on yourself to demonstrate what you already know how to do. You'll be nervous enough as it is just because it's your practical exam. So make it easy on yourself and cross-check the back. I don't care if you don't cross-check the rest of it. I really don't, because you wouldn't have gotten to this point without knowing how to cut hair properly. So, and you're not being graded on how perfect a haircut you're doing. You're being graded on, can you do a haircut safely and not really jack up your customer, okay? And not cut your customer, not cut yourself, etc., etc. Okay? On the sides of the head, again, you're going to use the 1-inch subsections. You're going to divide it in 2. Use the hair previously cut in the rear, back here, on this little diagram, back here, to cut this section behind the ear. Okay? And then use that section and your perimeter to cut your number 2 section, which is there in front of the ear, okay, here and here. Let's see here. There's the side. That would be this area. So you're going to use this subsection here to cut as your traveling guide for here, and then use this piece and your perimeter to cut this piece, okay? And you're going to work your way up the side of the head in that manner till you get to here, okay? And here, that's where you want to make sure that you are marrying this hair with the hair here in the back of the head that's previously cut. Make sure that it blends. If it doesn't blend when you hold it at the proper angle, then bend your fingers a little bit. You're going to have to lift up a little bit to make it blend. Again, like I said, you want it to blend. It doesn't necessarily have to be even. Even would mean that this piece is 6 inches, say, you know, X number of inches, and this piece here is the same X number of inches, or 6. I always recommend cutting your doll to 6 or 7 inches. 7 inches is the length of your all-purpose comb, and that way you can easily gauge whether or not you are cutting the hair even, okay? Then I always suggest going over to the other side of the head and doing that side of the head and then blend your top into your sides and your crown. Okay, that makes this section very easy to cut, and I will demonstrate how to do that section as well. Okay, remember in the fringe area that the hair, the head slopes right there. So if you hold that hair straight up from here, it will end up being 1 inch shorter than your perimeter guideline, because that's the angle of the head. It will be exactly 1 inch shorter than you cut your guide to be. So you want to elevate it out at approximately 45 degrees from the fringe area here, okay? Blend the top of the head, sides of crown. Remember that your haircut has to be blended layers, not necessarily even and uniform. You will lose more points if you don't finish in time than if you cut that doll poorly. And lastly, do ensure that the back of the head center, I don't know how important I can stress this enough to make it be remembered. Ensure the back of your head, the center from the crown to the nape, is even and blended. That's the section you're going to demonstrate the perm wrap. If the hair is uneven in this section, you will struggle with your perm. And you don't want to be struggling when you're already a little anxious, okay? You want that exam to go easily for you. So don't make it challenging to yourself. Give yourself the benefit of cross-checking that so that you can do well on the perm procedure that comes in after your haircut. I think you do your blow dry and curling iron, and then you do your perm wrap, I believe. And then after the perm, I think, is the chemicals. Or is it vice versa? After the haircut comes the perm. I'm not looking at my content outline right now, so just bear with me. So that's all I've got for this section, and then I'm going to get my dolls and demonstrate on the tripod for you. Okay? Thanks.